Hi, my name is Adeni Adekunle, and thank you for joining me again. We've been talking about work as God intended, and we've said a few things over the last few sessions. Today, I want to talk about something slightly different in terms of security now. Security has become a major issue, particularly for those of us in Nigeria and all around the world, since the bombing, the 9/11 bombing in America in 2001. Security has become something that we all get to talk about, and in the last few years in Nigeria, from the Niger Delta situation and to the current situation we have with the Boko Haram group in northern part of Nigeria, security has become something that we all talk about. But security is not just about life and property now. There's also what we've always known these years as job security. And the idea of job security is that you get a job, maybe as an undergraduate, you finish school, you get a job, and you stay there for 30, 35 years, 40 years, and you retire, you get a pension, you get a gratuity, they settle you somewhere, and you and your wife and your family live happily ever after. The reality of our world today shows that that is a myth. It doesn't happen again. My father is a retiree, and I remember back in the days when he used to advise me, you go to school and get a stable job. We used to talk about stable job, get a stable job that pays you well, probably gives you a house, and you work there, maybe with government or something, and you can retire to a good pension. But today is no longer the case. I sat down with a friend a few weeks ago with his father, and we were all talking, and the father was talking about the importance of staying with a job, all your life, and not just moving around, and just in case you have to move again, you move to another stable job. But the reality of our time shows that really there's nothing like that. You could have a job today and it's not there tomorrow. The recent economic recession around the world showed us how major corporations that have been around for hundreds of years, just in one day were no more, and people lost jobs in the thousands. So I want to talk about true security. Is it job security or work security? Now remember, I've been trying to build a case that work is actually what God gave us, not job. The truth is this: you can never pin down job security. Number one, because it's not yours. Job is what you do, like I said, to get an income, what you do to get a salary. In Nigeria, the National Assembly a few months ago said the retirement age for university professors should be increased to 70 years, and it generated a lot of debates, both for and against. But either way, whether you work till age 70 or you work till age 65 or whatever, at some point you'll be told to go home. Now the question is this: if they tell you to go home at age 70 and God help you, you live till about age 90, so you've got about 20 years to live. What will you be doing if all you know is a job? What will you be doing? Go to visit your grandchildren and all that, go back to your village, become a chief or something? What exactly will you be doing yourself? I noticed in the case of my father that after he was retired, and I've noticed in the number of people, after the retirement, a lot of them began to deteriorate in terms of life. A number of them fell sick, and a few of them died. And the reason was this: they were used to a regimented life. They wake up in the morning, go to a job, do some things, come back. And after they told them that you are too old, you could not work again, for whatever reason they were laid off, life just became a nightmare for them. I know someone today who lost his job about 15, 20 years ago, and his mental state has not been restored. Why? That job was like his life. But you see, the truth is this: God never promised us job security. What we truly have is what I will call the security of your work. And mind you, your work is that which you came with from heaven. It's God's purpose. It's what He's given you to release your potential. They can sack you from your job, but they can never take your work away. The Bible tells us a story of a young man called Joseph. And the Bible talks about his father giving him a coat of many colors. And at some point, things were going on for him. They called him a favorite child. And his brothers felt that, if they took away some things from him, they took away his coats, took away his dependence on his father, they would have taken off his life. So they took his coat, ripped it off, threw it to the animals, turned it to them, put some blood to it, threw him in a well, sold him to slavery, and told his father that, oh, your son is dead. And they felt that was the end of his life's dream, which was his life's work. But we found out that he was sold into slavery, got into slavery, some things happened, he became a slave, he became a prisoner, but at the end of it, his work still thrived. And that's the power of your work, that nobody can take your work from you. They can take your coat, they can take your official card, they can take your official residence, they can take your certificates, they can take all those things, but the work that God actually gave you, nobody can take it away from you. Why? Your work is you. The Bible tells also the story about Isaac in Genesis 26. He was doing well, he dug wells, and the Bible says for each well, they began to contest it with him. Your well could be a kind of job you have. They contested this, work politics on the job, a boss that doesn't like you, colleagues that don't like you, ethnic things, blah, 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 all those things. They contested eating. But the Bible says at a point he got to a place and said, now the Lord has made room for me and I'll increase in the land. Rehoboth. Why? Because you see, when it's your work, you can do it without getting discouraged. Paul said it this way. He said, cursed am I if I do not preach the gospel. Why? The gospel was his work. He said, necessity is laid on me. Now the question is this: your work as a banker, is it something you cannot do without doing? Is it something you cannot live without doing? Is it your life? Is it something that it has become a life's task? Your job, I'm not saying it can't be, but I'm just saying we need to begin to rethink all these things, particularly the day and age we live in. I feel so bad when I see a young man in his 40s. I saw someone a few weeks ago, 42, 43, when you're supposed to be sending your kids to school, when you're supposed to be settling down your career. And at that point is when they tell them to leave their job. And I say at the point when your expenses are rising because you are sending your kids to school, is at the point if you're not careful, your health is beginning to fail because you're stressing yourself up. It's at that time you are planning to university. It's at that time you want to build a house and all those, whatever it is. It's at that time again, your employer is saying, go. Usually, so many people are not able to recover from that point. Why? Because the job is their life and that's their security. But if you knew from the beginning that all you are giving them is your service, not yourself and not your work, then you understand that if they tell you to stop working in this company or that company or this place or that place, all they've taken away is a job, not your work, and you can take your work somewhere else. I know someone again who was working, I don't want to call the name of it, was some government agency, and he told them he wanted to resign, and they said he couldn't resign. Now this person had been doing his own work all the time, so he told them he wanted to resign. For years he said he couldn't resign. Finally they agreed he could resign. After he resigned, they still retained him as a retiree in the same job. He complained and complained that he wanted, so after retirement again, he continued working in another capacity within the organization. Finally, about 3 years down the line, he finally left the job. But he had so much more things he was doing in terms of work, the same thing he had been doing. And even though he is said to have retired from the job, he is still working today. I believe God created man to work. A few days ago, I was watching Billy Graham on TV, and maybe he wrote a book or compiled a book, but he's still expressing what God has put into him. Let us change our mind, particularly those of us in this day and age. There is really nothing like job security again. The only security you have under heaven is in the work God has called you to do. The work God has called you to do will protect you. The work God has called you to do will preserve you, will provide you for you, will bring you honor, will bring you dignity. It might take time, but if you stay with it, there'll be challenges, there'll be all that. But if you stay with it, everything you are looking for in a job, you will find in your work. And the good thing is this: if you're ever going to get a job, find a way of making your life's work your life's job. And sometime next time we see, I'll talk more about that. Thank you very much. God bless you.